because that's what your USP is. Essentially, it's your everyday pitch to the world. That's what you're doing. If you're just selling stuff, that's a hobby, that's great. But if you're building a brand, something that you want to last, something that creates wealth and impact, you need a rock solid USP. Welcome back to the E-Hustle. I'm Paul Waddy, and as always, if you like the podcast, don't forget to like it, subscribe it, share it, rate it 5 stars, all that sort of stuff helps. And I'm an e-commerce coach. If you want to work with me to either start an online business or scale your existing business, we offer programs for every stage of e-com over at learnecommerce.com, or follow me on Instagram at Paul Waddy Ecommerce. So today we're talking about how to make your brand stand out, or as the title suggests, how to make your brand the only choice. And choice is the key, because right now there's never been more choice than any other time in history when it comes to online retail. So today we're going to talk about developing your brand's unique selling proposition, or USP. Now, I know that sounds like a bit of marketing jargon, but hear me out. It's really effective. And this one idea could literally be the reason that someone buys from you, or instead buys from your competitor, and multiplied by many, many thousands of visitors. It really can be the difference between making it big or not making it at all. So a unique selling proposition is absolutely critical. And we talk about this so much, and I'll do other episodes on this. We talk about value propositions as well, identifying your niche and so on. But today, let's talk about standing out. So the problem today, we've got a cluttered market. Today, e-commerce is very noisy, way noisier than it was 10 years ago. Back then, you could throw up a store, Shopify store, if Shopify was even around 10 years ago, Magento store in my case, throw up some products, run some half decent advertising on Facebook ads, and boom, you had a bit of traction. Now, the problem is today, everyone's running ads, everyone's on socials, everyone's got slick branding. All of that's become easier. And throw into the mix a couple of monster marketplaces like your Temus, your Sheins, and your Amazons. It's getting really hard. Now, those guys are price leaders. We're seeing that consumers are spending less. Over the last 12 months, average order values have come down about $10, and loyalty, brand loyalty's gone out the window. People are saying, well, the cost of living is high. We've got to focus on our priorities, which is saving a little bit of money. So pricing has become a factor. So how do we can't compete on price really with the big boys. So how do we compete? Well, we try and compete on brand. And that means standing out with a slick value proposition, or today's app, USP. So you don't want to be an option. You want to be the only option. And the reason for that is when your customer can't tell the difference between your brand and the next brand, what happens? The cheaper brand wins. We don't want to be in that race to the bottom. We don't want to be in discount wars. Whoever pays more wins. We don't want to be involved in that, because we will always get outbid on keywords. We will always get outmetted on advertising by your Temus and your Sheins and so on. So we can't compete there. So we've got to find a better way to compete with our brands. So let's break it down. What really is a USP? So the USP is not a brand slogan. For example, it's not we're good quality at a fair price. That's what I would call a fluffy USP. And that's kind of like the first thing I check when I see a brand is I try and see what they stand for on their Instagram bio or on their homepage above the fold. I don't want a fluffy USP, because generic, you might as well write nothing, honestly. That's not a selling proposition at all. Back when I launched my first brand, ironically, that's exactly what I said. When people said, yeah, great, why should I buy from you? I said, oh, well, we're better quality, but we're a bit cheaper. And I thought that was enough. Spoiler alert, it wasn't enough. And I would suggest you don't make price one of your USPs unless you're an everyday low prices ELP brand, which most of you will not be. So I couldn't say that with real conviction. I hadn't earned it. I hadn't definitely explored what my USP was, and I hadn't proven it in any way by displaying it to my customers. So if you're saying something like that right now, it's time to level up. And so here's a little test, guys. I want you to ask yourself this. If you have a brand or if you have an idea, here's a little exercise. I want you to go to your website. I want you to then go to your biggest competitor's website. Now imagine you're a competitor browsing both. Can you honestly give 1, 2, or 3 clear reasons why you would choose your brand or your website over theirs? If yes, awesome. those reasons are your USPs. If not, you've got some work to do, but don't stress. I've got your back. Let's get into it. I'm going to show you how to flesh this out. So let's use some real life or real world examples of some really strong USPs. And I want to take the example of Skechers. Skechers do sneakers. I'm sure you know that. These guys are doing over $8 billion in sales a year. So that's great, and that's not an accident. If you head to their homepage, bang, there's USPs everywhere. So let's listen to some of these that I saw. 1, putting on your shoes has never been easier. 2, hands-free slip-ins. 3, never have to touch your shoes again. 4, exclusive heel pillow holds. 4, exclusive heel pillow holds your foot securely in place. Now they're strong, all right? Now I want you to compare that to what yours is. 1, have you even thought about yours? You know, go and read your Instagram bio now. Have you actually thought of yours? If you've thought of yours, how does it compare to what I just said? Because they're strong. They pretty much know, wow, in one line, these guys, Skechers, are promising me something that's going to change my life for the better. They're solving real problems like convenience, comfort, and ease of use. There's no fluff. They're clear, benefit-led messages. So that's the key, is we want benefit-led messages. And when you do that, when you work out those selling propositions, those benefit-led propositions or messages, you can then go about your creative. But when you're going about trying to create creative without actually working out what your point of difference is or what your selling propositions are, there's no point creating that creative. It becomes generic content, and generic content does not perform. And so because Skechers have nailed their USP, they're able to target the right audience who says, yep, you're talking to me, that's for me. They're able to use strong hooks in their ads, as I just spoke about. You do all this before you get into your hooks. Do your hooks before you get into creative. Do your creative before you get into your advertising. Then they're able to charge a decent price and protect margins because they've built that little moat that people talk about. Well, this is what we do. You can't get it everywhere, so we can charge a little bit more than other competitors can. And they can stand out. And standing out is really what we're talking about back at the top of the episode, standing out in a cluttered, noisy market. And that's the power of strong USPs. So how do you find yours? Let's break it down into a process. So 1, I want you to analyze your competitors. So whether you're startup or whether you're existing, analyze who your competitors or potential competitors are. And I'd say pick 3. So let's pick 3 brands in your space. Now I want you to check their reviews, and mainly I want to look at 3-star reviews, 3, 2, and 1-star reviews. And I want to see where the customer's disappointments are. A little tip here is that you could take that data and dump it into ChatGPT and ask them to work out 2 or 3 or 4 themes. Develop themes as to why these people are not satisfied. Now you want to write those themes down. Then what you want to do is you want to list your own strengths. So you might do that yourself, or you might do that by reading your own positive reviews. What do people like about your product? And what you're trying to do here is a bit of a gap analysis. So what are the genuine things or the genuine areas where your brand does really well? What do you offer that's not common? Or what do you do that's rated really well on your brand but poorly on the competitors? So list those out and see if you've plugged any of the gaps you found in your competitors. So really doing this, you need to read your reviews. So it's important for you to, I guess, highlight your own benefits, but more important for you to highlight the benefits that your customers think you have. And you might not be aligned on that. Your customers might think that you have really fast shipping as the number one reason they buy from you, but you might actually think that it's a superior quality. So let's get aligned on that. So read your reviews. Again, you could use ChatGPT to call out common themes and then do a bit of a gap analysis on where are the negative reviews in your competitors and how can your positive reviews fill those, or how can you develop new products that fill those gaps? So what are your customers raving about? What problem did you solve for them? We're starting to flesh out our USPs here. So what we want to avoid, and we'll do some do's and don'ts here, is we do, let's start with do's, we do want to find something that's genuinely unique. We do want to solve a real customer's problem. We do want to fill a gap that your competitors are not addressing. That's going to give us an edge. That's going to help us stand out. What we don't want to do is make something up that's nice but isn't provable. Or we don't want to copy what our competitors say. They're probably fluffing as well. And we don't want to overcomplicate it. Think back to the Skechers example. We want to make it clear, concise, one sentence. Simple messaging wins. Now, let's look at a few legendary brands and look at their USPs and get a bit of big brand inspiration here. So let's look at Dollar Shave Club. Cheap razors, delivered monthly with cheeky ads, disrupted an entire industry. Super, super simple, but very, very concise USP. Let's look at IKEA. IKEA was affordable DIY furniture. You do the work, you save the money. Very, very simple. Let's look at Patagonia. Patagonia puts sustainability first, buy less, but buy better. Let's look at Zappos, one of the OGs in the shoe industry. Zappos became really well known for insanely good customer service and returns policy. They built a whole business around that. Look at Warby Parker. Try before you buy glasses at home, which was a game changer for online eyewear. That's incredible. Try before you buy glasses at home. So that's standing out from a cluttered glasses market. So each one of those examples solves a specific problem for a specific customer. And later in other episodes, I'll go on to talk about your ICPs, your ideal customer profiles, and really going into detail about solving problems for each of your ICPs, then turning those problems into a belief shifting approach that you turn into hooks, which you then roll into your marketing. So there's a real process there. And I talk about it a lot because when you get this messaging right, you scale. Your ads will do better. So my final thought on USPs is if you're pitching your brand on Shark Tank tomorrow, and this is a question that I ask a lot to brands, especially when I have an inkling that, maybe the USP is not strong. So let's assess your USP. So if you're pitching your brand on Shark Tank tomorrow, what would your hook be? Because that's what your USP is. Essentially, it's your everyday pitch to the world. That's what you're doing. If you're just selling stuff, that's a hobby, that's great. But if you're building a brand, something that you want to last, something that creates wealth and impact, you need a rock solid USP. So take the time to define it, test it, sharpen it, and make sure that every ad, every product page, every email, everything you send, all your comms reinforces why you're not one of the choices, but the only choice. And that's how you build a real business. Thanks for listening to me on this episode of the E-Hustle. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe. Follow me on socials at Paul Waddy Ecommerce or head to learnecommerce.com. Reach out if you need help starting an online business or scaling your online business. That's what I do. Until next week, see you then.